Now, the question for us tonight, what would happen on Wall Street if he did do that? Steve Cortes joins us, Fox News contributor, spokesman for the Hispanic 100. I think, Steve, there was some talk when Gary Cohn was thinking about stepping down. He decided to stay on, that it might upset the markets a little bit. What do you think?
Well, it's possible, Connell, but I think the more important point here are a couple of points. One is that it's been very clear, Steve Bannon's made it very clear, that he intends to support the president from the outside. So this isn't a renegade. This isn't somebody who left the White House and is engaging in kiss and tell by any stretch. Quite the opposite. He wants to promote the president's agenda. But I think regarding Gary Cohn, to answer your question very directly, when it comes to White House staff, everyone, number one, serves at the pleasure of the president. That's clear. But I think, number two, this is an important principle. Everyone has sort of their lane. Only the president occupies all lanes, right, no matter what the policy is. When it comes to Gary Cohn, I have a lot of respect for him, but his lane, quite frankly, is tax reform. So what he says about other issues, about Charlottesville, about, other things, when he voices an independence in an interview, an independence from sort of the White House, or perhaps even a sort of veiled criticism of the president, I'm not sure that matters a lot.
Well, I'll tell you what, here's what I would say. I would say it could matter in a couple ways. Number one, I already mentioned, and maybe you could disagree, that it could affect the markets, and if it did, I would grant you that would be very short term, I'm sure. Number two, it certainly could affect Mr. Cohn's future, with all the speculation now that if he's staying there and he wants to be Fed chairman, that seems maybe less likely, right?
Well, that's possible, and frankly, I'm not aware of that decision. But what I do know is this, is that his major task, and he said this publicly, his major task is to get transformational tax reform through the Congress.
You're right.
If he does that, the rest of it becomes noise, in my opinion.
That's the same for the president, by the way. If he does that, a lot of people forgive a lot more, right? That's the big thing now. So.
Right. No, and by the way, to the president's credit, and Donald Trump gets criticized so unfairly, so often by the mainstream media, and particularly by the liberal media, and he's known as a man who can't tolerate dissent. And I think Gary Cohn is Exhibit A that he can and does tolerate disparate voices within his team. He encourages a team of rivals. But again, I don't care a ton as an ardent Trump supporter. I don't care a ton what Gary Cohn thinks about DACA or about other issues. I do care that he marshals, that he gets tax reform over the goal line. And if he does that, then he succeeded and the country succeeds.